They forced me to watch the Mortal Kombat movie and also buy this collective popcorn bucket and collective soda cup. Anyways, all jokes aside, here's my honest review of the Mortal Kombat 2 movie. I was not given early access, so you know my review is legit. First part is gonna be spoiler free, so don't worry about that. When the spoilers are about to come, I'll make sure to warn you verbally, okay? Deal. Right away, there's two types of fans, right? I have a friend who's a big Deadpool fan, and even though the second movie was a big fall off from the first one, right? Not nearly as good. To him, Deadpool 2 was just as good, possibly even better than the first movie, and that's because he's that kind of fan. I am not that kind of fan. Just so you understand what kind of review this is gonna be. If you wanna watch someone glaze this movie for 10 minutes straight, I'm not gonna do that. Just letting you know right away. Although the film is much better than its predecessor. I will say that. Mortal Kombat 2 is definitely a lot better than the 2021 movie, 100%. But then again, that movie was barely passable. I could watch it again if I needed to, but I'm never gonna willingly watch that movie again. So the fact that Mortal Kombat 2 is much better isn't that high of praise. But okay, spoiler-free review first. The movie is paced well, and the costume design for the most part is decent. The set design is even better. Many characters use their attacks straight out of the video game, so that was cute to see as well. I love when fighting game movies actually use the fighting game attacks. Bald Jade never gets explained. We were straight up lied to about that. The film never explains why Jade is bald. However, that's okay because Jade as a whole makes sense in this movie, albeit a bit different from the game version of Jade. Since we're already talking about costume designs though, some of them look really goofy. King Jared has what I call a Clash of Clans helmet because that's how it looks straight up. Along with his soldiers too, their armor looks really goofy. The costumes are a bit hit or miss in this movie. They're mostly okay, but nowhere near perfect. Cosplayers would have done a better job, I'll just keep it real. The fight choreography was done well though. You can tell these actors and actresses all know how to fight, or at least their stunt doubles do, and I appreciate that. It's not all CGI nonsense like a lot of MCU movies lately. Instead, you see the actors actually doing these fight scenes, or at least the stunt doubles, right? Real humans are doing the fight choreography, and I appreciate that. Also, the choreography is realistic at times, which I appreciate too. It's not all flippy-dippy nonsense. You see actual kung fu and martial arts and knife moves that are used in actual real-life combat, which is cool, because it makes the whole thing feel more real, and you appreciate when people do the research of how knife warriors actually fight, or how is a short sword actually used in combat. That's really cool. However, one last big thing to explain before getting into spoiler territory, some of these characters are not treated correctly, like whatsoever. They behave nothing like the video game counterparts. Some of them are opposite to what they are in the games, which is gonna upset some fans, 100%. I bet the fourth snake hates this movie. I'm just gonna guess. We'll do a podcast together very soon, but I'm just guessing he despises this movie. And that's because he's an ultra fan. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not super casual like Sonika XD. He understands the games very well, but he's also a very positive guy that likely enjoys anything that has passion put into it. I'm not that positive, but also not as negative as Snake. I'm somewhere in the middle. So for me, I did take it personally when some of these characters were treated like garbage. A couple fan favorite characters in particular are done dirty in this movie, like straight up. Their spotlight is stolen and given to somebody else for no good reason, honestly. Which, like mentioned earlier, is going to upset some of the die-hard fans or just longtime fans who really appreciate the source material. So if I had to give this movie a number review, like blank out of 10, what would I give it? Here's the funny part. I don't know. I don't know what I would rate this movie as of yet. Maybe it needs more time to sink in because I hate some parts and then enjoyed other parts. Instead, here's the spoiler review, alright? If you haven't seen the movie and still want to for yourself, don't watch this part. Alright, you've been warned. Here's warning number 2. I'm gonna get angry at some points because this film did actually upset me. I wanted to walk out a couple of times. I was so offended. But I didn't because I'm a grown man watching a movie that I paid for, plus I bought the popcorn bucket and the cups too, so I'd look and feel very silly walking out of this movie. Anyways, here we go. The movie opens with Shao Kahn versus King Jared, but it's not an assassination or a downright invasion. Instead, Jared competes in the tournament against Shao Kahn. He's the sole remaining survivor, which is an interesting change. I like this. We actually get to see Jared fight, and he does good at one point. I was impressed. Remember how earlier I mentioned the knife choreography choreography was done well, that's King Jared. He fights how you actually would wielding a knife against someone much bigger and stronger than you. That scene was so cool. That moment was awesome. Now, was there some dumb flippy dippy nonsense? Yes, there was, and it did kind of kill the tension a bit, but overall, it was a good scene, and I like the change of Jared fighting in a tournament instead of just dying off screen or getting assassinated. You get the idea. But obviously, King Jared's gonna lose. He gets killed right in front of Kitana and Sindel. Kitana walks over to his body, and we see a rare human moment from Shao Kahn. He straight up says, "Your father shouldn't have brought you here." And it's implied that he means you shouldn't have to see this. Like, a daughter shouldn't have to witness her father die at such a young age and in such a brutal fashion. Why'd he bring you here? So it's a good moment for Shao Kahn. It lets you know that he's not going to be a generic big goon bad guy in this movie. He's actually intelligent and a bit sympathetic. And I personally like that. His next line of dialogue was a bit cringe since it was on the nose. He just says, "You're my daughter now, Kitana," instead of like, "I shall raise you as my own," or something a bit more otherworldly in the way that I think Shao Kahn would actually speak since he's thousands of years old. Anyways, right after we meet Johnny Cage, he's at a convention, I think a cosplay convention, which is even funnier because no one goes to his booth, which is meant to show us he's washed up. Then later in the parking garage, he gets confronted by Raiden and Sonya, but he's packing his car in the middle of the driving lane, which I find funny. He's not parked, he's in the middle of the road getting his car loaded, which doesn't make any sense. But he agrees to join the tournament, he meets the gang, then learns you can die in the tournament and is like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm too old, I'm past my prime, and also I was never a real fighter. Sure, I was world champion at one point, but that was a karate tournament with refs, there were tons of rules, not a fight to the death. I'm not built for this." Yeah, Johnny Cage is nothing like the game version in this movie. He's not a cocky man who gets humbled and then becomes better. Instead, he's a wimp from the word go, constantly trying to chicken out. And I'm not joking, 3 different times he tries to run away from a fight, and I mean literally run in a couple of instances. He tries to get out of there, which is not Johnny Cage. So if you're a diehard fan of this character, you're gonna feel a bit insulted that he's changed so much for this movie, but hey, I warned you way earlier. I will say by the end of the movie, Johnny Cage is a fun character, especially his moments with Baraka, who's done very well in this movie. He gets good treatment. Baraka, of all characters, isn't done dirty, which is shocking since typically he's a jobber. But this movie turns him into Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm not kidding. He just becomes that character. Obviously, I don't want to sit here and describe the whole movie, so from here on out, I'm gonna skip to key parts that stuck out to me. Shao Kahn's a fraud, which bothered me a lot in this movie. He's not overwhelming people with his sorcery and his expertise in combat combined with his sheer might. No, he just cheats. Straight up, the man's a hacker. He's got cheat codes that make him unkillable. He heals from any damage he takes, which made the character much dumber for me personally. His dialogue was still good, and I like his personality in this movie, and I also like the idea of a Shao Kahn who plans, but not like this. Don't make him a massive fraud who can't beat anybody. He would have died to Cole Young. That's right, he would have died to Cole Young. That's what this movie is. When people say this film is for the fans, I don't know what film you were watching, because no fan would say, yes, Shao Kahn would lose to Cole Young without a cheat code. Said nobody ever. Shao Kahn's a massive fraud. He dies at several points in this film, but has a cheat code that keeps him alive. And before anyone watching says, oh, well, he's getting hit on purpose because he knows he's immortal, it's never shown that way. It's never treated that way in the film. He just gets outplayed over and over again. He gets punked repeatedly. It's implied Liu Kang would have killed him 5 times over in one fight if not for the cheat code. That's how fraudulent Shao Kahn is in this movie. He may look cool, have some good dialogue, but that's it. Otherwise, he is not Shao Kahn. Oh yeah, Raiden gets treated like crap too. This man gets his neck sliced open by Kung Lao's hat. Are you telling me that gods can just be killed by sharp objects now? What is that? Why can't he compete in the tournament then? Normally, Raiden can't compete in the Mortal Kombat tournament because he's not mortal. He's a different type of being. He's not killable by normal means. And yet, here comes Kung Lao with his hat, slicing his neck clean open. Oh, but the hat's magical. Yes, it's magical in the sense that you can command it and teleport to it. It's never established it can kill gods. Alright, so get out of here with that. Kung Lao's hat should not be a god-killing weapon. Yeah, that scene was complete nonsense. The idea that anybody can kill Raiden if they just get the drop on him is so stupid. I hated that scene. However, his godly energy is used to power Shinnok's amulet, and then it's stamped on Shao Kahn's chest like a temporary tattoo, which gives him immortality as long as the amulet is not destroyed or something. So real quick, me in the back, hand up teacher, I have a question. Why is Shao Kahn allowed to compete when he has god powers now? When he's straight up immortal, why is he allowed to compete in a Mortal Kombat tournament? The Elder Gods are mentioned several times in this film. They exist. They made these tournaments to be fair. That is directly stated to the audience. So why is Shao Kahn allowed to compete when he's clearly cheating? He is immortal in a Mortal Kombat tournament. This makes no sense. Why can't Raiden compete? He's killable. Why is Shao Kahn allowed to compete? He's unkillable. This makes no sense. I told you earlier I get a little bit heated. The film is still mostly okay, but some parts are so stupid and outlandish. So real quick, some good stuff, okay? A palate cleanser. Kano is amazing. His dialogue is so good. I've heard it's mostly improv, and that makes sense because his lines are too good for this movie. I'll just keep it real. Kano's dialogue is too good for this film. It's so funny, but never takes you out of the scene because he delivers it so well. This man was born to be an actor. Also, he's a good guy now and doesn't die. So if you're a Kano fan, he gets good treatment in this movie. And don't get me wrong, I like the idea of Kano playing both sides because realistically, that's what a criminal mastermind would do. He'd play both sides to make sure he's always on top. But even so, I find it funny how Baraka and Kano, who are normally jobbers, are treated so well in this movie, better than anybody else. Jax gets killed, and it's kind of a sacrifice, but also not because he could have moved out of the way. Instead, he stood there and tried to stop the spear. That was dumb. Anyways, I digress. My point is, some of the fan favorite characters are done dirty or just killed off, whereas the jobbers get to live on and be a highlight of the film, so that's very ironic. Let's skip to the ending. So Liu Kang is fighting Shao Kahn when he's still immortal. He has no way of winning this, so he gets impaled and is about to die. As a fan, I'm like, come on. Liu Kang is getting robbed again. He wasn't allowed to kill Shang Tsung in the first movie when he's supposed to. Now in the sequel, he doesn't get to beat Shao Kahn when he's supposed to. When are writers gonna learn? We want to see Liu Kang win. Yes, we want to see him win for the 10th time. Yes, we actually do when it's his rival, okay, his main enemy. But instead, here's what happens. And stay with me because this scene is so stupid. I had to disconnect and just leave my body for a second because this part was so stupid. Liu Kang unlocks his god energy or something early. His eyes glow orange, he starts to levitate, make the Jesus pose, and is like, it's not my destiny to defeat you. Raiden told me I wasn't the chosen one. I'm sitting there like, since when? I didn't hear him say that. That was done off screen because the writers want you to leave so that Kitana can beat Shao Kahn, but they couldn't think of a good reason to get you out of the scene, so they pulled this nonsense instead. I'm not kidding when I tell you the writers found a way to actively get Liu Kang out of the scene just so Kitana could have the moment instead. What's wrong with both of them beating Shao Kahn? What's wrong with that, writers? Is it a girl boss thing? I don't want to think it's a girl boss thing, but is it? Did Kitana have to win solo because, oh, girl boss, it's the modern day? Is that what had to happen? Is that why it actually happened? Because otherwise I don't get it. Why can't Liu Kang share the spotlight with Kitana? Nobody would have been upset with that. Oh, Kitana gets to help beat Shao Kahn and Liu Kang gets to also beat Shao Kahn. All fans would have been happy, but instead, no, Liu Kang F's off, and then Kitana gets to beat Shao Kahn instead because everybody in the Netherrealm comes together to beat Noob Saibot and destroy the amulet in the process. Which means that Shao Kahn is finally killable, though he almost still beats Kitana, but thankfully the writer's an anime fan, or something. He must be, because it's straight out of an anime. Kitana has a flashback to her father, and he's like, you can do this, Kitana. And she's like, oh, I'm suddenly 3 times more powerful, and I can beat Shao Kahn now. And I like anime, I do, but this scene is done terribly and reminds me of a bad anime where it's like I'm losing, but I had a flashback to my father from my childhood and now I win. I get a magic buff. And yeah, before the movie ends, everyone says we're going to hell to save our teammates. Everyone who's died in this movie, we're gonna rescue them and save the day, which is very likely what Mortal Kombat 3 is gonna be about, and the movie's already been greenlit. Yeah, this movie is not perfect. It's also not great if you're a fan like me, someone in the middle who does appreciate the series and does cherish these characters, and I hate seeing them done dirty. I forgot to mention Sindel. She's treated like crap too. Off screen, she's killed and resurrected. Lots of important stuff happens off screen, and we're just told about it later. Oh, and there's no buildup to anything. It gets stated and then just happens in the very next scene. There's no buildup. Like Kung Lao being dead and fighting Liu Kang, those two things happen back to back. We learn that he's undead and he fights Liu Kang immediately. There's no buildup of tension between these two characters. Sindel shows up, it's explained that she's dead, and she dies again to Sonya Blade. She's treated like crap, man. Zero redemption for this character. We're never gonna get her story on screen, are we? We're never gonna get Sindel's actual Mortal Kombat story on the big screen. It's just not gonna happen because movie writers think she's a side character when she's really not. Sindel was the main character of Mortal Kombat 3 and also Deception. She was a main character in that game too. In other words, every game Sindel Zendel appears in, she plays a pretty big role, but movie writers say, yeah, she's a jobber. I don't want to keep you all for too long, so here's my final thoughts. I can tell the writers and directors were trying to make a film for the fans, but also had their own ideas and said, fuck the fans if they don't like this. That's very apparent. It's so obvious. So when you see somebody online saying this film is for the fans, by the fans, they're incorrect. Like, they straight up are. Maybe they feel that way. It feels honest to them, but it's not true. This film does several things that would upset any regular Mortal Kombat fan, any long-time Mortal Kombat fan. Overall, is the movie good? I suppose, but it's not great. It's barely above decent. It's like in that barely good territory. The main villain, Shao Kahn, is a fraud. The main hero, Liu Kang, is sidelined on purpose so Katana can have the moment. Johnny Cage is that character in name only. He acts nothing like the game character. But even so, to end on a positive note, would I watch this film again with my friends or family? Yeah, I think I would. Did I get upset at some points in the film? Yeah, I did, but it's easier to watch those parts the second time around. Which means it's your turn, everybody. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How did you feel about the Mortal Kombat 2 movie? Then before you go, leave a like down below, please, and thank you. It helps my channel out a ton. I was being very honest in this review, okay? I was being brutally honest, and it may cost me early access in the future, so I hope everyone watching appreciates that. If you do, please leave a like, then subscribe so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, everyone, and as always, stay underdogs.